Hello and welcome. What risk does a public school teaching Arabic language pose to the security of America? Well, when New York City decided to open a government-funded school devoted to Arab culture, no one could have predicted the firestorm of protest that accompanied it. The Khalil Gibran International Academy opened its doors this month to about 60 sixth graders, that's aged around 11 or 12, making it one of the smallest schools in the city. It is only one of 70 bilingual schools in New York which teach anything from Haitian Creole to Chinese and Spanish, to name a few. But it seems the Arab theme has touched a raw nerve for some, who call the school a madrasa, warning it will become a breeding ground for homegrown terrorists. The Academy's supporters call this view racist, especially since religion will not be taught there. Well, today we discuss the controversy over the Khalil Gibran International Academy in Brooklyn. And don't forget, you can call in with your questions and comments at the numbers at the bottom of your screen. Joining me from New York is Deborah Howard, one of the people who helped to design the Academy. She's the founder of the consulting firm Guiding Change. And from Philadelphia is Dr. Daniel Pipes, the director of the Middle East Forum and a columnist for several newspapers. He's on the advisory board of the Stop the Madrasa Coalition, which was formed in opposition to the Khalil Gibran Middle School. Thank you both for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Actually, Deborah Howard, if I could start first with you, and just the school's been open just a couple of weeks now. How smoothly things are going? What kind of issues you're facing in the opening phase of this?
Well, actually, my involvement with the school was helping to get it created. So, now that it's up and running, and particularly since Debbie Amentasser, the founding principal, isn't there anymore, I don't have a direct involvement. What is clear, though, is that there is continued opposition and continued spreading of inaccuracies and misrepresentations about what the school, what it's designed to do, and how it will impact the community.
Let me ask you, actually, Ms. Howard, if when you were setting up the school, when you were helping to design it, was any thought given to the resistance that might occur? I have to say maybe it was naive, but I never anticipated such a vitriolic response. Our main concern was that there would be a misunderstanding about the population the school was going to serve. The school has always been intended to be a public school open to any student in the 5 boroughs, of any nationality, ethnicity, religious affiliation, etc. It was designed to have a diverse population. What made it different is that the hope would be that half of the students would be Arabic speaking and half not. So you can be Arabic speaking and be coming from Africa. You can be Arabic speaking and be Christian. But it's really about having people graduate from the school bilingual. Well, let's bring in Dr. Daniel Pipes here, who advises the Stop the Madrasa Coalition. Sir, thank you for being with us. And I guess I should start off by asking you, what are your main objections to the school?
If I might start with 2 preliminary comments. First is, I think Arabic instruction for 12-year-olds is a great idea. Secondly, I'm not responsible for the vitriol. I've written, I think, 5 pieces on this subject, and I've tried in every one of them to be careful and stick to the facts. My problem with the school is that I have seen in a variety of contexts, including the Khalil Gibran International Academy, a tendency towards one or two of 2 trends. One is pan-Arab nationalism, a political ideology, and the other is radical Islam, a religious ideology. And wherever one looks around the country, one tends to find that these themes come out. And when one looks at the KGIA, as we call it, the Khalil Gibran International Academy, one finds these same themes coming out. So I'm all in favor of Arabic language instruction. I'm against it being larded with other ideological freight. And I worried that there would be there, and I worry to this day that it is there.
So where is it in particular you see that? Is it in the curriculum? Is it in any aspect of the school that you've examined?
Well, the school's curriculum and materials have been carefully concealed like a military secret, so I haven't actually seen all that much about it. What I have seen are several things, such as the original principal designate, Dhaba al-Muntasir. I've seen the advisory board, and I've seen some of the original materials that were presented about this school, and all of them rang alarms for me.
We've got a call actually straight away. Said's on the line, I think from Sharjah. Go ahead, Said.
Yes, I'm Said Ahmed. I'm a professor of Arabic at the American University of Sharjah.
Okay, good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Your question, please.
Yes, I would like to ask Professor Pipes, why is it that so much controversy has been raised regarding this simple school, this one tiny school, whereas in the New York, New Jersey area, there are I don't know how many Hebrew schools, yeshivas, Talmudic academies, etc., etc., etc. These are not seen somehow as promoting a particular interpretation of Judaism or somehow being dangerous to the United States or dangerous to the world. Whereas, I mean, we have the Jewish Defense League, we have all sorts of...
Said, let's give Dr. Pipes a chance to answer that. Go ahead, sir.
That's an easy one. There are lots of Catholic schools, there are lots of Jewish schools, and indeed there are lots of Islamic schools. But none of them are taxpayer funded. They're private schools. What is distinct about this one is that this is a New York City school. So we have a whole different level of concern and control necessary here. So were this a privately funded Islamic school, it would be quite a different matter. But it is a public school. And there is very little history of religious schools being promoted by the state or being funded by the state. But in fact, I looked more closely at this issue and I found that there are several charter schools, that is, say, partially funded schools, partially taxpayer-funded schools in the United States now that are Islamic schools. So we're venturing into new territory, though historically parochial schools, whether they be Catholic, Jewish, Muslim, or other, have been privately funded.
Before I get to our caller in Dubai, Deborah Howard, I was going to actually ask you, as you get your point in here, let me also ask you, what role will religion play at the Academy?
None. You know, so this is the thing. You know, what really concerns me is, you know, on the one hand, Professor Pipes says that there's nothing wrong with teaching kids Arabic. He keeps referring to things he has seen. But you know, I was instrumental in helping edit and draft the proposal for the school, and I can say with 100% accuracy, there is nothing in there that promotes Islam, that promotes any political ideology. We had discussions about that all the time. The understanding was there would be no ideology. The school, if anything, promotes learning about differences as opposed to demonizing them. And you know, while Professor Pipes says he hasn't been putting out the vitriol, you know, I saw a quote of his where he said something to the effect of, you know, just the mere teaching of Arabic Arabizes students. What does that mean? I mean, it's really tantamount to saying that anything Arabic in and of itself is wrong or dangerous.
I'll get Dr. Pipes to respond in a second. Let's just quickly get Jean-Paul in from Dubai with a question so we can combine it with the response as well. Go ahead, Jean-Paul.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Jean-Paul Rahal from Dubai. I'd just like to, I've read some Khalil Gibran, and all his talks are about love, and it has nothing to do with religion. He talks about Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism. I just want to ask if Professor Pipes was aware of that. Thank you.
Indeed, I'm very aware of that, and I'd also like to point out that one of the Khalil Gibran societies has protested the misuse of the poet's name for this school precisely for the reasons that you suggest.
We got permission from the estate. There's no misuse, and I would be curious.
There are plenty of people who are not happy about what they consider to be the misuse of this name.
Well, I would be curious.
As for your point, Ms. Howard, let me address it. Your quote is wrong. Let me get it right for you.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
I have seen over and over again that the teaching of Arabic brings with it an expectation, not that one is Arabized, but that one is influenced by Pan-Arabist ideology. For example, my journal, the Middle East Quarterly, had a substantial piece about the instruction of Arabic at Middlebury College and how larded with, laden with Arabic nationalist ideology it had. Plus, we see over and over again that there is an expectation of Islam. And there is an organization in this country, in the United States, called Aleph, which promotes the instruction of Arabic and sees it as improving the moral order of the United States. In other words, sees it as Islamicizing. Now, it's not inevitable. I studied Arabic. I wasn't transformed in this way. You don't have to be. But over and over again, you see this pattern of Arabic nationalism and Islamist ideology being pervaded with Arabic language instruction.
Let's get
I would certainly not in any way favor a public school indoctrinating anyone in any form of religion. And what I will say over and over, I was involved in the design, the writing of the proposal, which has been approved by the Department of Education. There is nothing in there that even smells like that. And so what's problematic here is that there is this scrutiny given to the school before it's even taken a step forward to show what it's going to do. Why isn't that scrutiny there for other dual language schools?
Good point.
There's just this insinuation that the mere the mere fact that it's being, that it's teaching Arabic and is going to have, and it's not completely focused on. Well, it will just have a focus on Arab culture.
Ms. Howard, Dr. Pipes, let me get in a couple of callers because this obviously has generated a lot of interest from our viewers, and we have Anne on the line from South Africa. Anne, what would you like to ask or say?
I don't know. I think your professor seems to be very scared of this school. Why is he?
Okay, Dr. Pipes?
As I said before, I'm in favor of Arabic instruction. I'm worried about the Pan-Arabist ideology and Islamist ideology that tend to go with Arabic instruction. Now, I've done an article, for example, looking at 5 other schools in the United States, all of them taxpayer funded, all of them with Arabic instruction, and all but one of them, no, 6 schools, and 5 of them had these precise problems. So it's a pattern. It exists.
Dr. Pipes,
it's over and over again to be seen.
So, sorry, wouldn't it be better to perhaps wait and see how the school starts out rather than predicting where it would be?
I'm not predicting. It might be fine, but I believe there should be special scrutiny. Ms. Howard asked, why this school and not the Chinese and the French? Well, yes, precisely, because Arabic at this time is connected with the promotion of Islamist ideology and Pan-Arab ideology. And therefore, I'm in favor of the school going forward, or schools going forward, teaching Arabic if they have special scrutiny, if there's supervisory boards that are watching out to make sure that there isn't trouble there. I look at the advisory board of this school and I see that the 3 Muslim imams are all in one way or another connected with radical Islam.
Now the principal,
we've got a problem here.
The principal is Jewish, though, I understand, Ms. Howard.
I don't care what people's religion is. I care what their ideology is.
Okay, we need to go back to the advisory board because there needs to be an understanding about, in public schools, what role the advisory board would play. The advisory board, which, as I understand, may have been disbanded. I'm not even sure. As I said, since Debbie's no longer there, I'm not really sure what's going on. But it did have rabbis. It did have imams. The idea was for the advisory board to help keep the school knowing the pulse of the community. And certainly, none of the Jewish organizations would sit by and allow a public school to be teaching Islam. But the other thing is that the advisory board has no power whatsoever in a school. In public schools, the school leadership team is what has powers. The advisory board has no curricular say. It has nothing except it can talk and say, you know, this is what's going on in the community. The other thing is, I don't have a problem with scrutiny of any school where there's any sense that there's going to be religion. But much as Professor Pipe says, I'm fine with Arabic instruction and with the school going forward, the Stop the Madrasa group, which he is intimately involved with, wants to close the school. On their website, they say that's their goal.
As do I, because there is not this special scrutiny.
Okay,
were there special scrutiny, I'd be okay with it.
Let me get in a call from Tanzania. Ahmed's been waiting patiently on the line. Ahmed, thanks for your patience. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ahmed.
Thank you. Riz, my question is, I'm just concerned with the situation of the way that things are moving. About 2 weeks back, I had a visitor from a professor from the UK who's a member of the Lancaster House. He came to Tanzania and he's speaking peace. The UK government is pushing for peace with Islam. They want to fund madrasas and help people come up from the point of view of you know, making peace with whatever happened. And then we have this small issue in the United States, a small school with just a few students from, and they make an issue out of it. We are getting confused. We don't know, where do we stand?
Let me put this, Ahmed. Let me put this to Dr. Pipes. Isn't there the risk here, sir, that by this debate becoming so public, there's greater division when there's already considered a climate of fear, a culture of fear in the U.S. This would only create greater division of the community?
I don't understand why there's a climate of fear in the United States. There have been no pogroms against Muslims. The number of incidents against Muslims are trivial. There were 128 last year in a population of 300 million. This is not exactly, and they were small, all of them. None of them were deaths. I mean, they're regrettable, they're awful, but it's very small. This is not a country where Muslims are being persecuted in any fashion. In fact, if one looks at statistics, one finds over and over again the result that Muslims in the United States have a higher economic and educational level than the American population as a whole. This is not a population.
Let me ask Ms. Howard. I know you say you're not so connected with the school since the first principal has gone, but let me ask you where information about the school is available, so Dr. Pipes or anyone else who has concern can actually check on the curriculum or anything else that they might be concerned about. Where would they find the information?
I guess from the Department of Education. I guess from the principal. As I said, my involvement with the school has been kind of cut off, and that's sort of another concern, which is that the very people who created this school are now sort of separated from it. So it was our vision, and we have no idea how this vision is going to be implemented, and that's a concern. The other concern is, I will accept what Professor Pipes says, that he wasn't the one doing it, but the Stop the Madrasa Coalition has stated nothing but lies leading to Debbie's resignation. Howard? And the lies were bigoted. Yeah. I just want to say that the Department of Education didn't support the school.
Okay, I have literally 15 seconds for Dr. Pipes to respond.
I'm not responsible for Stop the Madrasa, but I don't think they were engaged in lies. What I saw was a very careful attempt to understand what the problem was and to argue a case.
All right.
The particular, well, enough said.
Well, sir, thank you very much. I'm sorry we have run out of time. There's a lot to debate here. Deborah Howard and Dr. Daniel Pipes, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks
I'm sorry
for
we've run out
having me
of
on
time.
the show.
Thank you very much for being with us. On the next show, we speak with British satirist Gerald Scarfe, whose blistering cartoons and caricatures for Britain's Sunday Times, the New Yorker magazine and beyond have lampooned politicians and other prominent figures since the 1960s. Don't miss that show. Don't forget, if you have any thoughts about his cartoons and his comments or any pressing issues around the world, send your comments to riz@aljazeera.net. We'll see you next time. Street Talk is next.